Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well wherever you are. And it's an exciting opportunity or moment that we've been waiting for since we announced this course, the date that we said that we will be starting the course has finally arrived. And this is going to be my very first recording for the course. So the course itself is not HTML fundamentals for beginners, but the overall course is this is just a section of it. The course is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript fundamentals for beginners. So the whole course is set to take a maximum of 3 months, and it has been divided into 3 sections. And the first section is HTML fundamentals for beginners, and the second section is CSS fundamentals for beginners, and the third section is JavaScript fundamentals for beginners. And I'll just start with the first section, that is HTML fundamentals for beginners. So just to give you a little introduction or what you need to know before we start the course. So I'll be taking you through this course. I'll be your instructor throughout the course. My name is Vincent. You can call me Vincent. And being that our recordings will be posted on YouTube, that is on this channel called Frilarn Academy, I'll just request you to spare 1 second to subscribe to this channel and allow the notifications so that whenever we post any recording of the course, you'll get notified whenever it's ready, so that you can visit the recording and learn through it. That said, I'll just dive direct into the very first lesson. I don't want to take much of your time with a lengthy introduction. So the first section of this course is HTML fundamentals for beginners, and it also have other sections divided into lessons, lesson 1, 2, 3, and so on. So I'll just go direct into the lesson 1. And lesson 1 is introduction to the World Wide Web and HTML. And this lesson 1, I've also divided it into 3 sections or subcategories. That is understanding the basics of web development and the role of HTML. And then the second section is the overview of HTML syntax and structure. And then the third section is setting up a basic HTML document. And this third section of it is the practical part. This is the part where you'll now apply what you learn from section 1 and section 2 of this lesson into practical part of it. So you'll apply what you learned in the theory in this section. So just to start with the first category, understanding the basics of web development and the role of HTML, I've highlighted some important topics to cover under this section. And the first topic is the World Wide Web. And the second topic is the introduction to web development. The third section is what is HTML, and the fourth one is the role of HTML in web development. So I've decided to divide this lesson, or to structure the lesson in this manner, because we first met on Friday 15th, And we agreed that I'll divide the lesson into the whole course into lessons and share the subtopics, what you need, like all that you need to cover in lesson 1 in this format, so that you can also read on your own and get a deeper understanding of things that I'll share on the video. Because when I talk in the video, I'll not be able to cover everything that you need to know. For instance, when it comes to World Wide Web, what I'll talk about when I'm covering this section, maybe it won't be enough for you to get to know or to understand it in a deeper understanding. So I'll recommend you guys to first go deep and read much about the topics that I've divided in these sections. And then maybe you can follow through the video to get a clear understanding, or just to get now my explanation also. If you get my explanation and also combine it with what you learned on your own, you'll be in a better position. So that said, let me introduce what is World Wide Web. So World Wide Web, as many of us just know it as www, or commonly referred as the web. This is a system of interlinked hypertext documents and multimedia content that is accessed via the internet. It is a fundamental component of the internet, and it allows users to navigate and interact with the information in a user-friendly way. When I say user-friendly way, I mean something that is easy to understand and to use. It's very friendly. It's not complicated. It's not complex that you need to be taught for you to use it, but you can just even learn it on your own and get to understand it better. So the World Wide Web, it was created by a British computer scientist known as Tim Berners-Lee in the year 1989, while this guy was working at a company. It was called CERN. It was the European Organization for Nuclear Research. This guy developed the first web browser and web server software, and proposed the fundamental concepts of URLs and HTTP. HTTP basically stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, the web has since evolved into a vast and indispensable resource for information, for communication, for commerce, for entertainment, also for connecting people and organizations across the globe. I think that's the basic introduction I can give on this one. So you can also read much about it on your own. There is a lot of information that you need to cover when it comes to World Wide Web. But I like just to highlight key concepts or key components. And from the definition, I talked about something called hypertext. So hypertext basically means a system of organizing and presenting information in which texts, images, and other media are interconnected through hyperlinks. I've just introduced another term called hyperlinks. Hyperlinks are these are clickable elements that allow users to move from one document or a web page to another. creating a web of interconnected information. This is the basic definition of the hypertext. From these hyperlinks that I've just talked about, they help you to navigate maybe from one page to another, one web page, one page of a web page also to another page of a web page, and so on. So when I talk about web page, what does web pages mean? Web pages are individual documents or files containing text, images, videos, and other content. They are written they're written in the HTML language that we are just about to introduce. And these web pages, they are displayed on they're displayed in a web browsers. I've also introduced another term called web browsers. What are web browsers? Web browsers, these are softwares or applications that allow user to access and view web pages. And I can say popular web pages or popular web browsers are like the Google Chrome, we have the Mozilla Firefox, we have the Microsoft Edge, and also another one that is also popular is Safari. Another concept of World Wide Web is something known as the URLs. URLs stands for Uniform Resource Locators. These are web addresses that specify the location of a web page on the internet. They consist of a protocol, e.g. you can say the HTTP, this is the protocol HTTP. Also we have HTTPS. The only difference is the S bit of it, the encryption. There's, you'll get to understand this, all these as you continue to learn this course. That's the first section of the URLs, the protocol itself. And another thing under URLs, we have the domain name. A domain name is when you type maybe www.google.com. That's the domain name. And also we have a path to a specific web page or a resource. So for instance, when you type www.google.com/home, now the /home is the path, the home page of the Google. That's the path I'm talking about. That said, let me also introduce another thing or another term called the web servers. The web servers are components or software applications that store and serve web content to users when requested. I'll just also use the same example that I've just used, that is google.com. So when you request something on the URL www.google.com, you get the response. Now this response is picked from the web server, and it is displayed on your window, on your screen, or on your browser. Now this is the information that you requested are being stored on the web servers. That's where the web server comes in, and it's responsible for giving you the right information that you just requested for. Like when you want to Google something, or when you want to visit a site, maybe it's e-commerce, like the Kilimall. When you type the kilimall.com, you'll be you'll be presented with a lot of information on your browser. So all this information that you are presented with are stored in the web servers. You'll get to understand better as we continue. Then another concept is the hypermedia. So this term hypermedia, in addition to text, the web includes various forms of media. That's why it's called hypermedia. These media are like the images, we have the videos, we have the audio files. When I talk about the videos, I can just maybe share like this video that I'm recording right now. It's being presented on YouTube. So YouTube is hosting this video on their servers. And when you request for this video, it is displayed on your browser through YouTube. So this is a media in the web page. And also, lastly, I'll share about another key concept of the World Wide Web is the search engines. So search engines are like the ones that I'll just use Google here and there because it's well known. And if I use the example that is well known, it's easier for you to understand. So the search engines are like the Google itself. We have the Bing and also Yahoo. And these search engines, they help users to find specific information on the web by doing something we call indexing and categorizing web pages based on keywords and relevance. That's why in my example, I said when you want to visit e-commerce like the Kilimall or the Jumia, you will type www.jumia.com or www.kilimall.com. So these are keywords. When you type the Kilimall, these are keywords. It can't bring like the search results cannot bring something that is irrelevant, like you've searched for Kilimall and it's bringing you another content from the servers that are not relevant. That's why I'm saying it helps you to find specific information on the web by indexing and categorizing web pages based on the keywords and relevance. That's the little introduction about the World Wide Web I can share with you guys. You can also read much and get to know much about the same. The second subtopic we'll need to understand is the introduction to the web development now. I'll just give you a very, very brief introduction so that you can also find your time to read on your own. So the web development basically refers to the process of creating websites and web applications. That's a very basic definition of web development. And it involves technologies because you can't just build it on your own way. You have to use specific technologies. And these technologies include the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, among others. I've just mentioned the three because we'll be using three to put this theory thing we are talking about on web development into practical. And it's very, very important to understand the basics of web development for anyone who is interested in building and maintaining the websites. So that's the introduction about this one. And sorry, I'll also introduce what is HTML. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And it is the standard markup language used for creating web pages and displaying content on the internet. We've just talked about when you request for a for a specific web page using keywords. The search engines bring the content of the search results based on the relevance and the keywords you just used. So HTML provides, when you request for a specific web page and you get the results, the function or the purpose of HTML is to provide the structure and the semantic meaning of the element that is being displayed when you request for a specific web page. And it also helps web browsers to interpret and present the content correctly. So we use HTML to structure the web pages. And saying that, we also have another key subtopic here, that is the role of HTML in web development. After knowing what is HTML, we have to now understand its role when it comes to web development. And basically, the role of HTML, it forms the foundation of the web development. This is the foundation of web development. It doesn't matter which language you use after that, because we have many languages that we can use when doing this web development thing, when we are designing web applications. But we have to start from the very basic, that is the HTML. That's why I've just said that the role of HTML in web development is that it forms the foundation of web development. And from the definition that I said, it structures the content of a web page, allowing browsers and search engines to understand and display it correctly. Yeah. So HTML is often combined with other technologies that I mentioned earlier. That is maybe the CSS for styling, because when you request for any web page, you'll notice that the results come with some nice looking backgrounds, some nice looking text, something that are interesting to see. So these interesting and everything that you see when you request for a specific web page, these ones are achieved using other technologies like the CSS, for styling. We also have the JavaScript that we learn in the future for adding interactivity and the dynamic behavior to the web pages. So together, these technologies enables the creation of visually appealing. When I say about visually appealing, when you visit a site that is so boring for you, I'm very sure that you might end up not continuing with the same. Like if you also have another alternative to use, you can go for another one that is appealing and interesting to use than going on with the boring one. That's why most of the time you find that people are really investing on design and creativity so that you can attract your viewers. Yeah, that's the basic role of HTML in web development. And it's very crucial to understand the basic of web development and HTML, since it provides a solid starting point for anyone who is interested in building and designing websites, because this is where the groundwork for learning more advanced concepts and technologies in web development are laid. So that's the basic introduction that I can share with you guys. I will go straight to the second subsection, that is the overview of HTML syntax and structure. And here we have the introduction to HTML syntax. HTML, as I said, is a hypertext markup language, is the standard markup language used for creating web pages. I've just, I introduced this one. There is no need of repeating this. And I'll go straight into the basic structure of an HTML document. So first, I'll just give you the theory part of it. And when we reach this section, I'll now share what I'll be talking about here practically, so that you can see them. But first, let's just introduce them like this. Okay, so the second section, or the second subtopic that this section, is the basic structure of an HTML document. So I'll just show you a basic structure of an HTML document, how it looks like, and here, as you can see, these are the basics. This is the basic structure of an HTML document. The first is the doc type HTML, and this declaration informs the browser that the document is written in HTML5. We also have other HTML versions, and you declare that here at the first line of code you are going to write. Then immediately after this, we also have the HTML tag, and this is the root HTML, or the root element of an HTML document. And also we have the head section, and at this section we have the meta information, or the metadata about the web page or about the document. And here we have some examples that are included at this section, where we have the title, like when I visit any site, this is where the title of the site is written. For example, the google.com, here is where they placed their title, Google. Also, under this head section, we also have other links to external resources. When I say links to external resources, I mean in web development, we have resources, and the first resource is the HTML document, and another resource is the CSS file. We also have other resources like the JavaScript file. So because HTML is the root or the structure of the web page, and it's not a standalone. It must use other resources like the CSS for styling and the JavaScript for adding interactivity. So these resources are linked to this HTML document under this section, under the head section, using something we call the links, or the hyperlinks. And after that, we have the body section. And the body section encloses the visible content of the web page. Everything that you see on the web page, let's assume that this is a web page that I'm presenting to you right now. So everything that you are seeing here is enclosed under this tag, the body tag. So everything that is under this tag is being displayed. We will be able to see them. But things that are enclosed under this section, the head section, are not visible when you visit a website or a web page. Things like the external resources like the JavaScript code, the CSS codes, you can't see them. What you'll see are those things that are put under this body section. That said, we also have HTML tags. HTML uses tags to define elements and their properties. Tags are enclosed in angle brackets. As you can see here, we have this head section and the head tag. It has this is the opening tag of it because it doesn't have the slash. The closing tag usually have a slash. This is the opening tag. It's just the angle brackets itself, and they usually come in pairs. We have an opening tag, this one, and also the closing tag. And the closing tag, the only difference is that the closing tag usually have a slash. So the opening tag identifies the start of an element, and the closing tag denotes the end. So in this example that I've shared with you, I've included some HTML tags examples, the common ones that you'll come across during the course. So we have the first tag, we have H1 to H6. These are used, these are heading tags that define the heading, and they are categorized from H1 to H6 based on the properties. Like the H1, when you use the H1 tag and use the H6 or H3, you'll notice some difference in terms of the font weight or the font size. And also we have the P tag. This represents a paragraph. When you want to add a paragraph on your web page, you use the P tag. And also we have the anchor tag. This is the hyperlink tag. This one is used to hyperlink to another web page or a resource. As I can remember, I talked about external resources here. So for us to be able to use these external resources in our HTML document, we have to use another special tag called the hyperlink or the anchor tag here, this one. We use this one to link our external resources to this root document of HTML. Or when we want to maybe direct our users to other web pages, we also use this one to link those other web pages, the URL for the web pages, to this document using the anchor tag. And also we have the img tag. This, as it stands for img, it's used to insert an image into the web page. And also we also have a UL, and UL stands for an ordered list, and LI that stands for a list. And these two tags are used for creating an ordered list. And lastly, here in the example, we have a table, and the table defines a table structure. And you'll get to understand much about these ones when we come to practical part of it. So back to what we were learning here. We also have what we call HTML attributes. And when I talk about HTML attributes, these things, these are things that provide additional information about an element. And they are specified within the opening tag and consist of a name and a value. And I'll just go back to the slide that I was presenting. When I talk about opening tag, let's say a p tag here for paragraph. This is an opening tag for a paragraph in a web page. So when we want to add an attribute for this paragraph, we add it at the opening tag here. And as I've just said, I'll just repeat what I've just said about the HTML attribute. It provides additional information because in your web page, you'll have many paragraphs, many p tags. So for you to make a specific p tag stands out, you have to add some attributes to it so that it can be unique to itself. And this is very important when it comes to doing some styling on the web page, because let's say when we have a p tag without any specific characteristics for us to use so that we can manipulate it, when I generalize styling of the paragraph tags, you will end up having the same appearance for all the paragraphs in your document. So for us to avoid that, that's where the HTML attribute comes in and help us to target specific paragraph or specific element in our web page so that we can give every element its specific or its unique characteristics or behavior. And attributes also, we have other, it's not just a single attribute. We have attributes like the class. The class attribute is used, it's used to assign an element a specific class that can allow the use of CSS and JavaScript to manipulate that specific element. And we also have another attribute called the ID. ID, as its name suggests, it provides a unique identifier for an element. And another attribute that is very important is also the SRC. SRC, as I talked here about the image tag, for us to, because image, you can't just type the image. The image must be on an image format. So for us to use the image on our HTML document or on the web page, we have to link this image from its source to this document, to this our HTML document. So here is where we use the SRC document. And SRC basically specifies the source URL of an image or media file. And also another important HTML attribute is the href. And href defines the target URL or the hyperlink. You'll get to understand all these practically, so don't worry. And the last one is the style. Style basically applies inline CSS style for an element. Yeah, those are the basic HTML attributes. And the next section is the nesting and hierarchy. When I talk about the nesting and hierarchy, because HTML elements, they can be nested inside. The term nesting is just like putting something inside another. And the hierarchy, meaning of the hierarchy is the arrangement of the structuring of something in a certain order. You see, even in leadership, we have the hierarchy. We have the president, deputy president, the ministers, the governors, we have the MPs, and so on. So that's the nesting and hierarchy. So in HTML, elements can be nested inside one another. And this thing helps in creating a hierarchical structure. This nesting itself defines the relationships between elements, and it determines the visual and logical structure of a web page. So maybe, for example, I'll just use the same example that I've been using, the P tag, the paragraph tag. This paragraph element can contain a hyperlink. Let's just show you the paragraph tag here. Let's say we have a P here, and we can also, it can contain a hyperlink inside it. Let's say the paragraph like this one represent a paragraph text. Now I can nest this text bit using the anchor tag here, so that it can direct us into another web page or another content in the same web page. And all these things are usually nested in something we call the div element. The div element. You just get to know about those things in future lessons. And then we also have empty elements in HTML. Empty elements basically, like, they do not require the closing tag because they don't maybe have content inside them. And the elements that do not require closing tags are like the image tags, like this one, do not require the closing tag. And another one that do not require maybe closing tag is I'll just type it here. The BR tag. This one is used to break the paragraphs, because in HTML, if you are writing unlike in Word document, when you are typing your document, when you press enter button, you'll jump into the next line. But in HTML, for you to jump into the next line, you will use this tag called BR, the break, used for breaking the paragraphs. Yep. That's all about empty elements. And we also have something very, very important when it comes to HTML syntax and structure. We have the comments in HTML. And the comments in HTML are used to add notes or some explanations that are not rendered by the browser. When I say about this, let's say I was to present this thing on the web page, and I don't want this topic to be displayed on the web page. Or I also have other notes maybe to add here, and I don't want them to be displayed on the web page. So I'll use this technology in HTML called the comments to comment that thing that I don't want to be displayed on the web page out. I comment it out so that it's me who can see it, but the one who is visiting my web page or my website is not able to see it. So the importance of this technology of comments in HTML, they are very helpful for documenting the code or temporarily removing sections of code out. When I say about documenting your code, I say because for you, maybe you are a web developer and you well understand your code from the start to the end. So for you to make me understand your code better, you have to give some explanations. So when you're giving explanation to specific code in your whole code, you'll be writing some headings that maybe this code stands for this, or this code does this. So for me to understand your code easy and better, you will be explaining this in the comments. You'll be writing comments for the codes. That's how basic the comments in HTML stands for. So thank you guys for watching that part, first section or the first two sections of lesson 1. The next lesson will be the practical part that I'll now share what we've just learned in the theory practically. So next part, I'll share what you need to have. I'll give you the basic information about the tools that we will be using, and I'll help you to do the setup, how you need to set up your tools well so that they can be easier and convenient to use during the lesson. So keep tuned and see you in the next lesson.